as we still have dial-up in 2025. No, 2020. Yeah, what are we in? 2025?
Yeah, honey. We're in 2025.
I literally had a moment. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, where? As we still have dial-up in 2025. Wait. 2020. Yeah, what are we in? 2025? Why is it not letting me?
We're in 2025.
I literally. Okay, here we go. That was
That was
funny.
strange.
Huh?
That was strange.
Yeah, you know. Welcome to the Mystery School Book Club, where I am your host, Cotriel. I have my partner here in crime, Jana Lightsey.
And life.
And life, yes, of course. So, for today's Mystery School Book Club, we are going into. Let me grab the book. The book. Oh, yes. There you go. Quantum Soul Awakens by
Quantum Soul
Eastar
Awakens.
or Alossa Tiernan. All right, so Quantum Soul Awakens is with the Ray Keys of Light, a practical quantum reality guide for new nows based on oneness, wholeness, and the soul template of perfection. So, what we decided to do last week was to split it in half. So
Hmm.
we have our first half, chapters 1 through 3 that we read, and then the second half for the book, we'll read or listen to next week, and we'll discuss. So, oh, I should probably get the share going. That's important. Uh, oh, all right, hang on. Let me go out of that real quick. I had something open in between.
I gotcha.
So I need to like not do any of those. Nope, not that one. Not that one. That's the one. Yay. Oh, oi. There we go. Now we're going back to Zoom. Thank you for your patience. And pages. So I did it in blue. So first of all, what did you think of this book? Were you able to finish the book or that first half?
I personally was not able to finish the first book. I listened to some of it, but was not able to get um as much through. But I'm hoping because, we know the author and know a lot of her teachings that'll help.
It really does, especially when I crafted this beautiful um uh thing that we're doing right here. But
Questionnaire.
yeah, that the discussion questions. Okay. So, are you feel are you familiar with the quantum healing arts and the benefits? Of course we are.
Yes. We
So, for
are
those
magical
who
beings, not muggles.
I love that. And I love that. So, for someone who is new to this world, come check out our Three Miracles. We're in Palm Harbor, or check on to our website at r3miracles.com. That's where you can actually be a part of this discussion as well. Um, Essentially, there's so much here that is being offered. It
Hmm.
is literally a mystery school.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what a mystery school is, well, we have Soul School every Friday, and we go over different topics such as biofeedback, Reikis, like what there's so many. Clairvoyance, like your clairs, like We've gone,
Teleportation, levitation.
there you go. We get into the superpowers of what our being is.
Hmm.
And those just are the tip of the iceberg, essentially. So, since we are familiar with the healing arts, um, if if so, share a personal experience. So, like, what is an experience in this realm that, like you probably have many experiences at this point.
Yeah.
Choose one that you can share with us, in regards to like its 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 essence, its benefits, something.
Um, so, I've got the R3 stories and then I've got the before R3 stories. So really, like when I moved to Florida, I felt a freedom in that I was moved here on my own and I felt a freedom to explore a lot of different things. Ex like because I grew up in a particular um, you know, area and the Bible Belt, whatever, and there was a lot of people that were and I think just as a society as a whole has gotten more open too over the last 10 years. But um so when I moved to Florida, I felt like I had a freedom to explore more. And so the first modality um that I really explored, I started exploring witchcraft a little bit and spells and intention and just like all of that stuff. And that really put me on a path. I found this little shop that unfortunately closed its doors. It was great. But they started doing Reiki shares once a month. And so my first experience with like a healing modality, um, like purposefully seeking out a healing modality was Reiki. And there was just something I was just drawn to it for some reason. I think after my first session, I knew I was supposed to like do that. Like I knew I was supposed to get um go through the certifications and become a Reiki practitioner. Um, but and the healing modalities, I didn't, especially at that time, I didn't feel the energy. I wasn't super sensitive to energy like I am now. Um, I'm still not super sensitive, but I wasn't as sensitive at that point in time. But I could still like it was very relaxing. I could feel shifts and changes. But then even like after I did my first Reiki attunement, I like my physical body changed. Like
Mm.
I dropped weight, after my first Reiki attunement without really changing anything else in my life. Um, and that happened a little bit again with my second attunement, and then also, I've done theta healing with Kristen Giesland. Um, and so, and that is harder to describe, but there are definitely benefits. And, a lot of times it culminated in like emotional releases, things that needed to come out and out to be transmuted. Um, but yeah, those are my first exposures um to like really the quantum healing arts.
Beautiful. And we talk about, and as we go forward, that like Akashic records and different things
Hmm.
like that. Essentially, all the stuff that we experience here is very, very closely related to theta healing.
Right.
So, now you're receiving, theta healing on steroids.
Basically. Well, and that's, like I remember just R3, going back to R3, the different modalities that are available there are just insane. Like Therify pretty much gets me every time I have a major release afterwards. But you feel like while you're on it and while you're like even afterwards, you feel relaxed and light afterwards, like
Yeah.
even though there may be, what, the it's like the golden ratio spiral of photonic light hitting your body. There's a Tesla coil underneath the bed. So it's all of this healing energy coming at your body. Um, and it targets wherever you may need. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. I remember when I did the Quantify, which, it targets a specific area of your body. And I was having some issues with my right hip, and that's not completely healed yet. But like while I was doing that, I felt this thread being pulled out of my hip, something to be released there. So it's
Yeah.
really powerful stuff.
Yeah, so and we'll go deeper into all of those in the following questions,
Oh,
essentially.
okay.
Yeah. Um, so I guess I'll share my experience as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I've always been pretty super connected in general with spirit, right?
Hmm.
With source energy. And I always felt like there was always something more, um, like a group or community that I wanted to be a part of, but never knew how to get there until a really good friend of mine growing up brought me to Enchanted Spirits, and everything started to open from there. Um,
Mm.
that's when I met my mentor, Judith, and then um, I started working with the Arasoma. The
Hmm.
Arasoma, for someone who is unfamiliar, is a modality that is used. Well, now it's all over the world, but it originated in the UK. The waters come from Chalice Well, which is in Glastonbury, where your background is placed. And I feel like that was the touch that opened up everything to me.
Mm.
It wasn't until I started working with the Archangel Michael bottle and really getting aligned to my purpose, my soul's purpose. Um, I felt like I was just walking closer and closer. And when I went, there was a night that I was doing like I was just getting into like tarot cards and stuff and things like that. And I really felt like I was supposed to go to this one psychic development class in at Enchanted Spirits. And I had talked and did the reading, and I felt like I was gonna be late and I didn't want to go. And my friend urged me like, you need to go. Like, I'm not letting you not go. I was like,
Hmm.
okay. So she took me down there and I met the, you know, the girl who literally brought me to here to R3 Miracles, which then was now I just lost it. That's hilarious.
Solterra.
Solterra. It feels like another lifetime ago sometimes. But also like yesterday. Like it's weird. And so since then, being here, I remember our first class. It was called the biofeedback class. And in this book, we speak a lot about biofeedback.
Hmm.
Um, like essentially, what are the things around us that we need to pay attention to shift things, right? And so like by coming here, and then going through her programs, Alasa's programs, just has, you know, I've been through so many different transformations,
Hmm.
and I guarantee you they're not over. Like,
Yeah.
it's a new light being every single like day, it feels like. And so let's move a little bit forward actually with these questions. So Alasa speaks about letting go of old belief systems. How easy is this for you? And what is a belief system that you want to rewrite?
Mm. I think some, maybe some belief systems are easier to rewrite than others.
Hmm.
For me, I think the hardest one personally is Um, like not caring what everybody else thinks of me and really letting myself go and letting myself, be my true self, um that is, I've always been a people pleaser. I hate conflict. So a lot of times I'll just shut my mouth and I won't say anything, or I'll just go with the flow. Or even things like, like dancing. Like it's just coming up because it's a fresh example. Like
Yeah.
I wrote about this in my journal today. It's like my 3-year-old Jaina, 3 or 4-year-old Jaina wanted to be a ballerina, wanted to dance,
Oh.
right? But because I haven't had the confidence, because um I'm a larger being at this moment in time, I that really played a lot on my self-confidence. And like I was so afraid of making a fool of myself. Like I was very self-conscious about all of that. And but I love to dance. I do. And it's just even like in front of my partner who I live with, it's still hard for me to come out of that shell and just like, do that. And so
Yeah.
um that's something that is currently in the process of being rewritten, you know? Because it's also like I realize how freeing it is and how much fun I have when I do it, and it puts me in a
Mhm.
good mood. So, I that's that the societal norm or the pressure to be something you're not, or beauty standards, all of that, those have played a huge factor
Mm.
in my past. And
Yeah.
so those are the things that have been the hardest to rewrite.
Yeah. It's like it's a huge thing, like we have these things that have been layered onto our soul's experience. And what we notice is the moment that we allow ourselves to be free, we're free.
Hmm.
And it really comes through access through the heart and being in joy and being in gratitude.
Yeah.
Like you shook things up. You didn't care what other people thought. You just went with what felt right to dance, for instance.
Hmm.
And after you danced, you didn't care what other people thought, right?
Right.
Like because you're already in that state.
Yeah.
And so essentially we're on a journey each day to be able to access that state. And from Kabbalist perspective, if we can just tip the scales, let's just say the day is written as 50-50. It is our choice, to be able to flip it to that 51-49.
Hmm.
And, it said if we literally have a day that's 51% um consistently, then it just builds momentum for like a whole new world. That's just 1%. 1%, you know?
Hmm.
I feel like for me, um, what comes to me organically right now is I want to rewrite that I have all the time in the world.
Hmm.
Why? Not because it's like I'm really good at getting things accomplished, right?
Hmm.
And but I can overbook myself often, like and cancel, clear, delete,
Right. Yeah.
because the world we're building here from a quantum level, time doesn't exist. And this is something I actually did not put in the question specifically, but it's in the book,
Okay.
rewriting time,
Mm.
the concept, the perception of time. And I will tell you now, like think about, and this has been the theme for today when I spoke to Alasa, like there's certain things I want to create. And I said, like I'll do it in time, And what I ended up doing is completely transforming that. There's a moment when creating this, and just to let you know, like, okay, you can get a lot out of something just by receiving its frequency.
Right.
If you were to play this audio recording before you go to sleep and allow yourself to just drift off,
Hmm.
I guarantee you will receive codes.
Yeah.
Osmosis theory, by
Hmm.
having the book even near you. I had a very difficult time listening to the book in my car. Partially, it actually allowed for certain things to recalibrate. I noticed that it was almost like I was putting myself in a hypnotic state in
Right.
some way, shape, or form, that it was starting to rewrite things.
Hmm.
I could notice this consciously. And so I was most likely in some aspect of a theta state
Yeah.
while listening to this book. And what I came to realize that by preparing this, I did not need to necessarily listen like I did for the other books to try to figure out what the questions were
Hmm.
to present today. What actually was more beneficial was for me to go to the book as if I had read it before from cover to cover, go and see what was drawn to me, and
Mm.
questions came. I wrote this thing in probably less than 10 minutes,
Mm.
you know? And I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many things I need to do. You know what? When you are accessing the quantum soul levels, things become instant because your soul knows what to do and time doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so for the next question, where is there an area where you need to slow down and allow for the particles of light to be reorganized for the highest and best? This might sound like a very fluffy question, okay?
Hmm.
All right, so let's get down to the meats and bolts here, right? So quantum mechanics, like we just spoke about, things speed up super fast, right?
Right.
Well, there's also this concept of slowing down time, right? So we have to, what allows us to be like slowing down time? It's being embodied,
Right.
being completely present. When we are completely present with something, we're able to focus on the areas we need to, like what really needs to be our focus point.
Hmm.
I can tell you right now, there's a lot going on in my life where I needed to order a legend planner that I cannot necessarily put on here for some reason. There we go. And so yesterday I received this, and when I was having a conversation with Alasa today, she's like, "You're totally gonna create one of these. We're gonna create one here." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I totally feel that. Like, this is
Hmm.
definitely a stepping stone." But one
Yeah.
of the nuggets of gold, and that kind of relates to the last question, of things that I want to create.
Hmm.
But one of the nuggets of gold that I received out of this is the purpose of this particular book was to put everything in one thing. Sometimes as a society, we are taught to do all of these different things. But what if you can actually bring it into one? I mean, I learned this week with learning about a program that is connected with Tony Robbins. Like I could literally for $97 get everything I need, like a month or whatever,
Hmm.
um, website, marketing, all of it. And I'm spending way more than that
Yeah.
separately. But when we can learn to bring all these things, fold them in, we realize how much of it we already know, like it's
Hmm.
in us, and we can access it, you know? I think that was probably one of the biggest innovations of the Kindle, right?
Right.
Is let's bring the library to you. It's the same concept.
Hmm.
So let me repeat the question. Where is there an area where you need to slow down and allow for the particles of light to be reorganized for the highest and best, bringing it back into center?
I think for me, I mean, the thing that keeps coming up is like the financial, the abundance mindset. You
Hmm.
know, I'm so focused on like I have to pay this bill and this bill and this bill and I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. I'm not really focusing on like the present moment on like what's going I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say. Um,
So what's coming to me immediately is the practice that we've been learning in Rich and Righteous
mhm,
with having our envelopes.
mhm,
What happens is we bring some level of detachment and neutrality to the process, right?
right.
So the moment that we begin to create those envelopes, we're now giving it away. We're giving it to God in a sense. We're giving
Mhm,
it to a higher power, giving it to the universe to recalibrate those energies.
right.
Re like this, like this language of slowing down, putting our awareness there is the slowing down part,
Mhm.
and then letting go, allowing the particles of light to be reorganized
Yeah.
for the miracle.
Mhm.
And that's essentially what that means.
Yeah.
And so, like, I really do feel like something is completely going to shift when we create those envelopes,
Yeah.
specifically for the ones that, we haven't yet.
Yeah.
You know?
I got a download the other day and uh I feel like we should do this. We should get on the Therify and take the stacks of money and put them on us or around us while we're on the Therify.
I think that's a quantum awesome idea. Like, absolutely. Um, yeah. Like, essentially, you know, these this is like really seeing and pulling back those ones and zeros that the universe is created in, and being able to just like peel those layers back and be like, wow, okay, you know, there is a bigger picture here.
Hmm.
And when we can see the codes,
Yeah.
you know, it and detach from, I think the biggest thing that blocks us as a society, cancel, clear, to delete, as we shift this,
Yes.
okay, is our emotions.
Hmm.
It's those emotional blocks that we are now saying, I see you, I choose higher, I choose quantum, I choose to be in a state of joy. The
Yeah.
moment we allow ourselves to receive the blessing, we realize, oh, wow, we've had it all along.
Uh-huh.
So, Our next question is, where do we need to set new anchors into a higher dimension of light? This connects, this connected, sorry, this is connected to accessing the miracles by paying attention to our insights, awarenesses, and dreams. So again, where do we need to set new anchors into a higher dimension of light? What does that mean? Right off the bat, what does that mean to you?
I don't know how to put that into words. Um,
Well, what are different anchors in our life? Like you could use the chakra system if you'd like.
well, I mean, yeah, if we go by the anchors, I mean, by the chakras,
Hmm.
there's different parts of ourselves that I don't know. I don't know how to.
Okay. So essentially, we have different anchors based off of, honestly, we could even just throw out the word emotional baggage,
Yeah.
our different baggages. Okay.
Mm. Hmm.
So if we had, and here's the thing, an anchor doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's not.
Well, I think that's where I was getting confused is because I don't see anchors as a bad thing. They're a point of which we anchor our lives. That's why they're called anchors. But, um, you know, I, but yeah, I think there are.
So like if our anchor was thrown down into the root chakra, what things do you think could be themes?
Safety, stability, financial blockages. Um, it's a lot about our home, foundation, um, but also very ego. Fear can be related there. But I mean, I guess that's where like the safety and stability come in, but
Okay. So if we moved up that anchor to the sacral point, how would
hmm.
that change or shift? Like what would be the anchor point at the sacral level?
I mean, the anchor point at that would be our creativity. Um,
Things centered around healing and trauma could be a
right,
thing.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, it could be our birthing,
Yeah.
the seeds,
Hmm.
you know, there's several in there, of course. Now let's move it one more step up to the solar plexus.
Hmm. Solar plexus is all about our personal power,
Confidence.
confidence, yeah. Um,
So choices could be a part of that.
yeah.
Um, our actions like based off of like soul mission.
Hmm.
It could be our connection with awesomeness, you know, like
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. Um, Connecting with the soul from an internal perspective. Um, so if we move that anchor one more up, where are we at?
Heart chakra.
That changes a lot, right?
Yeah, it does. Because that's about love in all of its forms, the people, the places, the things, the what brings us joy. And when we're acting in that space, it's limitless,
It's the
honestly.
bridge, it's the 4D, right? It's
Hmm.
the bridge between the higher
Yeah.
this source energy and the spiritual realms and this physical realm.
Uh-huh.
Now let's move it one more higher. Let's take it to the throat chakra. This is the spiritual realms now.
Hmm.
So, good.
I was just gonna say it's our voice, it's how we speak, it's how we create the world around us. And so if it's a, you know, I don't want to say good or bad anchor, but like we can anchor ourselves in the despair and anxiety and all of those negative things, or we can anchor ourselves in the hope and in the light and in joy by the way we speak things.
Truth. And so you can see that as you've gone into um the the throat chakra, you can
Hmm.
actually feel remnants of the heart chakra there.
Uh-huh.
And it also um is our connection to truth.
Yeah.
And truth, I'll take this Hebrew, emet. Emet is the word for truth. And what does that sound like to you when you say when I say emet? Emet. For me, it feels like emission of light.
Mm.
Like when I say emet, the moment I see
Emit. It sounds like emit, like you're emitting light. Yeah.
it's so it's really interesting. That's a completely different place than if you were to drop your anchor down to the root again, right?
Right.
And so where we choose to place our anchor, and we only went through five, and then again, that's 5D, right?
Yeah.
So we only went through five different dimensions there, and we could
Hmm.
keep moving them up beyond 7D, right?
Hmm.
And because there are other chakra points they're endless. But when we can pay attention to where those anchors are and where they are in our life, like, there's some themes, of security and things like that have come up, in some way, shape, or form. I feel like those anchors are being lifted. It feels like that to me. Um, and I feel like little by little, um, it's coming into 4D for at least myself, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and like I feel like there's still some 3D stuff going on.
Right.
Um, and of course, in a day, you can go through all of these dimensions.
Yeah.
It's totally possible. But where, again, that 51%, where you set the tone of the day for the next day is the key. Where you leave the anchor going from one day to the next is very important.
Hmm.
So let's move on to the next question. How is accessing the miracles in the quantum field how has it affected family members or close friends around you? Like you being around this stuff, have
Right.
you have you like noticed a difference between your um connections with friends or family? Like, have you lost friends? Have you moved out of certain friendships? Have you gained more friends? um are you seeing the people around you purge and shift out of some older you know
Yeah.
stories? Like,
Hmm.
you know possibilities are kind of endless.
They really are. I think, and maybe that's where I see it the most is like in the community that I've gained. And then yeah, you see, like as you work with people or as they work with others, you can see the shifts and releases that they have. Um, going through the different therapies or what have you. And then I think, there's also been like moments in time where like I've met a few friends, and I was friends with them for a few months, and then we all went like our separate ways.
Right.
Um, but it was like we all four of us, 4 or 5 of us, we needed each other in those few months for our own growth, and then we went apart,
Right.
and so there's those kind of examples as well.
Interesting. Sorry, my battery just like completely
I
like
figured.
the cord, it just like beeped and I have no idea why it's not
Mm,
online anymore. So we'll have to figure that. I have a okay amount. But yeah, it really does shift the people in our life as well.
mm-hmm.
And the more that we can see that we're all connected, it will
Yeah.
the highest and best. So what are some tools to remind yourself that all is happening inward and it's an opportunity to flip the script of the past and be present? So it's kind of related to the previous question. It can
Yeah.
be.
Um, I had something and then I lost it. Um, I think the biggest tool for me is just awareness, honestly, is being self-aware of like what words I'm saying and what I'm putting out into the universe. Um, and that, when I do say something that I can like that's maybe not for the best, I can cancel, clear that, delete that, like it's an awareness, it's a knowing that I have the power to rewrite this, to
Mm,
rescript it, and actually taking those moments to do that and clear things.
right, right. It's quite interesting. And a lot of it is connected to emotion, right?
Yeah.
Energy and motion. And when we realize that we can neutralize things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can um allow for a different perspective, which is cool. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like, just noticing like, in your everyday life, for those who are watching or listening, this this play that we're in, even on world affairs and things like that, like we we are souls that we can turn inwards and realize that we really do have the magic within us to change everything.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is, you know, I said tools to remind. Well, there's some things that this is weird. Lent is coming up.
Mm-hmm. We are in Lent now. It's not coming up, it is Lent.
That's really funny. Like, so there's this concept of getting rid of things that no longer serve us, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the habits that, are not so productive and things like that. But
Right.
how often do we watch like, like the news, for instance? And that impacts how we view our world.
Right.
It's not to say that we cannot listen to news whatsoever, okay? I'm not saying that. There's a hurricane coming. Okay, well, maybe you can change that narrative or script. But
Right. Yeah.
like, if there is some type of thing that you need to watch the news for the present moment that's happening right in front of you, I say go and do it.
Yeah.
But the stuff that's not happening right in front of you that is not necessarily impacting you, um, like, is it better to carry forward a narrative that you that may or may not be true,
Right.
or is it better to bring in things that is going to bring you like abundance?
Yeah.
Thank you. Want to say hello? We're just going through some of the questions.
Hi.
This is the writer of the Quantum Soul Awakens. I'm like, what am I doing?
Cool.
So we just literally we're talking about like what are some tools to remind ourselves that this is all happening inward and it's an opportunity to flip the script of the past to be present.
Yeah.
Any words of wisdom there?
What's the last part you said? From the past to be present?
Mhm.
Of the past and be present. Yeah, because we don't want to keep repeating the past because that was based off duality.
Right.
As a quantum soul, you're awakened to wholeness. You're awakened to whatever you say is.
Truth.
So you would speak in wholeness so that the reality is whole, right?
Truth.
What was the beginner of it? That question?
What are some tools?
What are some
Oh.
tools to remind yourself?
Yeah, the tools is not pay attention to the outer circumstances as you're navigating old world to new world.
Hmm.
And to realize if you're still witnessing the shadow of the shadows of the past that are projecting out in front of you, then it just means you're still quantum entangled as the person, not the eternal soul. So don't pay attention. Pay attention just to get a download, but then recode it, and that's the flipping the script that says the opposite of that. So I'm so glad now that everything works perfect for me always is something, and I love my life always. I can
Mhm.
always see the eternal nature in all things,
Yeah.
Yeah. Perspective is key. The eternal soul has a perfect perspective.
Amen.
Hmm.
Amen.
I love that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Love you, God. This is God.
I had a feeling there was going to be a guest appearance. Oh, man. Yeah, it's okay, though. Oh, that's weird. Okay, cool.
There's a message.
Yeah,
Right,
definitely.
there's a message.
Oh, interesting. There's 2 charts. Cool, thank you.
Right, so the outer circumstances, something about the past is projecting that it's low on a certain color.
Interesting.
So as an eternal soul, I would say, what's the message from that for her or for us?
Yeah. Well, the blue is what's the thing that I printed this on, which is kind of funny.
So speaking, the eternal soul is conscious, the archetype of consciousness that is wholeness.
Yeah. I feel like communication's coming up in regards to the chart.
And then blank is the last name.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there.
There is totally a lot there. I'm
Yeah.
digesting. Because
It's definitely throat chakra related.
Yeah, definitely. And just based off of what I know I'm going to be talking about, it makes a lot of sense too.
The eternal soul, quantum soul awakens, knows how to speak wholeness.
Speak wholeness, exactly. Wow.
So some things could be fading out to rise into a new slate, blank slate.
Right. Wow.
Woo! And filling it up with the isness.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Thank you. Huh. Thank you so much. So many nuggets of gold that just happened there that I'm just like.
Can you repeat what she just said?
So essentially, the chart, the birth chart that she just dropped off, it printed out lighter. Okay. It only had certain colors connected with it, reds and yellows, but the blue was missing. Ironically, and of course the black was there too. Ironically, when doing this class, I had to print it in blue because we were out of the black.
Mm-hmm.
So I find it interesting that I I wasn't sure if she was going to be in the class today,
Mm-hmm.
uh, for this particular class, and it was the blue. And
Interesting.
we're
Yeah.
talking about these quantum mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting how all of these parts are being looked at, and now it's bringing it into the wholeness.
Right.
Yeah. And we're feeding the birds.
Oh, yay.
So, there's a few more questions on here. Grounding is very important, a very important tool as we ascend.
Mm-hmm.
What are some ways you can choose to ground, and how can you build them into your practice daily?
So we have a grounding mat at our office desk, which is really helpful. Um, that's what I've got right now, so that helps me get some of that grounding. Um, you know, going outside is and putting our bare feet on the earth is probably the best way to get that grounding energy. Um, do I do it enough? No. I don't. That's one thing I would like to add more into my daily practice is just making sure that I'm outside. I'm barefoot a lot. Like
Yeah.
I don't wear socks often unless I'm in tennis shoes or whatever. So I do go around barefoot a lot, but um I don't go out and just stand on the earth as much as maybe I should. But another way we can access that is doing a grounding meditation and really picturing our feet as like the roots going into the earth, you know?
And come to Jana's plant magic class because it brings those things up. And
It's true.
carries on to, the watercolors with the holy
Uh-huh.
waters from the heavens for the transformation bottle.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I mean, that's using plants. Like, yeah, some plants can make you go higher, but then a lot of plants are very grounding. So there's another practice. Herbal teas, great for that.
Truth, which I'm still drinking upon my mine here with the oregano. Also, other things that I learned yesterday that I didn't realize that were already in my practice, and I realized I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Vacuuming,
Oh, yeah.
reading, also washing
Doing the
dishes or
dishes.
cleaning.
Yeah.
It's clearing, and it's clearing things out as well as grounding. These
Yeah.
different things, the more that we can also be physical with something, I would say throwing a football around, grounding,
Yeah.
it's as simple as that. You
Hmm.
have to be present to be able to catch the ball, and then you touch the physical ball, you have
Right.
to catch it, right? So and it makes like an impact, right?
Hmm.
But it's as simple as that, is like be present with what you are doing.
Yeah.
The more we can do that in the physical realm, because we have a lot of interface. This is via Zoom right now, right?
Hmm.
Like sometimes we feel up in the air when we're talking, about quantum mechanics, or, doing a meditation, or coming on Zoom, and of course there's way more things that can allow for that. But the more that we can find something daily, writing things down physically without typing, there's a different feeling and connection point that's going on. Then another question is, have you ever done a record on the Akashic Soul app? And if so, what are different ways you have used it? How have apparently have how have oops. How have you seen a difference in your life after using it?
So yes, I use it probably a few times a week at least. Um, so if something's if I know that if I know that there's a blockage somewhere, like whether it's with finances or different emotions or like a nail in my tire this morning, what did that represent? Um, I haven't done one on that. I was going to, and I haven't done it. But so you can use it for those and clearing the energy surrounding those things, or you can also use it for manifestation and upgrading those things for the highest and best purpose. So, um, I use it, like I said, several times a week. Um, I need to use it more, probably.
Give me 2 seconds.
Yep.
What's going on, but it's not.
Are you next to the iPad?
Yeah.
Is it on the charger? You
Uh,
could use
maybe.
you could
Oh,
use that same one. It's a C.
yeah. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Oh my word. Oh no, it's doing it the opposite, I think. It's a plug out.
What?
It's not charging it.
That doesn't make sense.
Um, crud. Okay. Because my computer is, you know,
Yeah, got it.
it's very strange though.
Oh no.
Space for that you're not limiting yourself. So we've got all of the things come. Okay, we've got spicy. I love being spicy. It's so much fun. Okay, we've got spicy. We've got essential symptoms. Six. On green. Let me just block the scammers. Block by okay. So many.
I think there's 4.
What?
They keep telling me that. Yeah, there's 4. I saw it and I didn't thought I saw it. Yeah, they went to the.
Hey guys, we're here with Felicia and Jason and Kay. And Kay is getting adopted today. How are you guys feeling about this? Are you excited? You guys drove 9 hours one way to adopt Kay. We're very excited. Kay, very happy to be with you. She just got groomed right now, so she's a little bit hypey. But all right.
Hey, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that got interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I accidentally pulled the wrong one.
Oh.
The internet.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was unique. I'm just going to, because we only have a few things left. I want to finish it if that's okay.
Yeah, I do. I have a call at 2:30.
Okay, then just give me 2 seconds.
Okay. I've got a Bernie call today.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You
Eh,
you keep freezing.
oh,
You're frozen. Please clear everything associated with this technical malfunction from all computers involved. Thank you.
uh, you there?
Yeah.
My gosh, I don't know what's going on. It keeps like wigging out.
It's freezing. It's like you're freezing a lot, but then your mouth speeds up and it goes really quickly. Like it's weird. I
Like
just
right now?
cleared, so hopefully that'll help.
Thank you. I think that actually did help because I'm talking to you.
Right.
Anyways, so essentially with the Akashic Soul app, this is one of the ways you can use it. When things are freaking out like that, you can upgrade it.
Yep.
Hey! And what are
100%.
some of the benefits
That's
that
why it happened. It's for an example of what you can
probably
use. Yeah.
like it's quite funny. So essentially, the other thing is with that is there's different benefits that happen when using the app. You literally can okay, so you know why we put like the or you know how we put the shungite on the back of our phones?
Mm-hmm.
When we run that program, it actually allows for an effect very similar or exact, really, of what the shungite does. And so
Right.
you're actually running that program on your phone. The more you do it, the more you're upgrading and allowing, these light particles to recalibrate and give off good emissions,
Right.
positive emissions. I don't say it's not good or bad. It's just, the
Right.
light
Yeah.
that, you know, is really beneficial and healing to us. Um, and then there's something else that I wanted to say with that, but that's okay. It'll come back if not. So the next thing is we often use the word collective or monad. And we can, as empaths, feel this collective energy. What is your experience with this collective energy? And have you chosen to clear or upgrade on behalf of the collective consciousness?
Um, so yeah, I'm definitely a major empath. So there are days when I can feel the collective where, it's usually like if I'm like, I was in a really good mood and then something shifts and I don't know why. There's not necessarily something of my own coming up, but it's in those moments that I usually will ask internally like, okay, is this mine? Is it someone else's? Is it collective? Um, those kind of things. Because I can not always, I can't, but I can feel it some days,
Hmm.
the collective. And yeah, I haven't I should probably do more, honestly, with the clearing for the collective, but I have done that.
Well, every single time here, we're always a reflection, right?
Yeah.
Of someone, something, especially you can even see that like right now, like the subjects, us two are in the room,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, Alasa walked in, for a certain part, and that was in her awareness.
Right.
Like there are different things. Of course, even not being present in the room doesn't mean you have to be physically present,
Mm-hmm.
but there are other people talking about this stuff. And
Right.
these words are what connect us together. These thoughts connect us together. These topics connect us together. And as we talk about them, as we bring in positivity and joy and
Mm-hmm.
connection with the heart, we are actually upgrading with intention, you
Right.
know, on behalf of the collective. Um, so, like one of the things, like for instance, the collective, the center point, um, you know, instead of us watching the news, cancel, clear, delete, our awareness shifts to, wow, let's go spend time with friends and family. Let's be in community with one another.
Right.
Let's, the reason I use that example is so that I could build the bridge to show that there's another way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, what are some ways of moving dense energy for yourself?
Um, for me, a lot of the time it just comes out like um just an emotional release, like I have a major cry fest or whatever. That seems to be like that's a big thing, but also like um it can be moving my body or um being around others, that are being around community and friends, like it usually helps to lift my mood and really transmute some of that kind of energy.
Yeah. And another thing is like today I learned with the tensor rings, for
Oh
instance.
yeah.
Like by me just sitting in this tensor ring, it is like the two rods coming together to it's it's literally recalibrating my system specifically at a molecular level, allowing, for instance, like hydration in the
Right.
system. Because why? Because it's actually taking all of those water molecules and changing them into its perfected state, which, we do, produce these water molecules and have them in hexagons. But when we hit rougher energies, these denser energies, it starts to slow down the body and we start to have, you know, um, you know, effects from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we sit in a tensor ring, it's a conductor, for electricity, and it can take those hexagons and bring them back online essentially.
Right.
And so it's like by simply just sitting in this, I am actually moving dense energy. And I'm like, epic. And that's just being.
Right. Yeah.
When we can find out, like, of course we can do something, move or have those emotional releases or different things like that. But when we find out what are the ways that we can actually build these simple things into our life, having a grounding mat, like all of these
Right.
different like modalities, and therapies and things like that, wow, things will shift and change in our world exponentially.
Yeah.
Our last question is what allows you to become into a neutral perspective, like a neutral state?
Mm. I think I think it's just awareness, self-awareness, awareness of the collective, knowing that there is neither good or evil. It's like there's light and dark, and you can't have one without the other. Um, and I don't know where I was going with that. I had a thought. Um, I don't know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So, like, as we're in Pisces season, the theme of compassion comes up a lot. Like,
Hmm.
we are human. When we were born into this world, we weren't born, with a bag of cash in our hands or a crown on our heads or, poor status or anything like that,
Hmm.
right? We were born as a human being out of the womb. We were all did that. And I feel like when we can realize that, you know, put culture aside, status aside, all these things, that we're all human. We are
Hmm.
all going through the same struggles and different,
Right.
the different things of life. We all have to breathe.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know anyone who doesn't have to breathe or drink water or eat
Right.
food. Put, you know, putting aside breatharians or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure they still have to eat something.
Right.
But, we all are going through our own perspectives of that, but
Yeah.
we're all at equal setting, like equal footing with each other when we come into this planet. And when we can remember that and remind ourselves of that, it becomes easier to see neutrality.
Right. Yeah.
That's what just came through, at least.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That is absolutely. We all
So,
bleed the
um,
same color.
right? So, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on today. and discussing Quantum Soul Awakens. And if any of you want to join in on the conversation, it's not too late. We will have another discussion next Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. You can get the Zoom link online at r3miracles.com. And again, we are continuing this book, and we will have more discussion in regards to this book, which there's a lot here. We just hit the tip of the iceberg, and we went like overtime with a
true.
few interesting things intermixed. All right. Well, I love you all, divine, beautiful souls, and thank you, Jaina, for being here.
Always.
I love you. And